I'm Seda Domaniç. I'm joining you from Bozcaada, the windy island in the North Aegean Sea of Turkey. I'll be talking to some of my favorite designers and artists that offer a unique path into our culture, Turkish culture. I hope these mini talks offer some insights into their story. So let's meet the designers. Hi everyone, we're here with Elif Gönensay, the creator and the founder of Ethnicloom, a beautiful carpet brand that actually very authentic and also contemporary kilims and carpets from Turkey. I'm delighted to speak to her, following her work quite closely, as I'm all into interiors nowadays. I'm very much into, this is my new area of passion. Let's put it that way. Here in Bozcaada, and actually I'm on a, thank you, I'm on a 3-week escape. I'm actually coming to the final days of it. So actually come back to the real life and speak to such a talented person. Hi, Edith.
Hi, Seda.
Hi. You know, I wanted to say that it's a little, I made this disclaimer before too, because, you know, we're both Turkish and speaking in English feels a little weird and out of context for us, but since this is an international platform, we're doing this. So please bear with us. And this is the we have. So it's okay with you, right?
Yes, no problem. It will be awkward, as you say. I hope I won't slip into Turkish with the unfound words, but we'll see.
We can. I think we can just switch back and forth. I am sure most of our audience will understand us anyway. But if I just wanted to start with this idea that how you really came to making carpets and finding your passion in this area, because I actually read your background. We're colleagues in the sense who studied, I think, government and political science, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
And so did I. Actually, I have a PhD in political theory even. And I found myself in fashion and design and then, of course, business. But and you are here, you are with a really unique brand. I'd call it a unique brand because it's beautiful to see these you know, traces of Turkish culture popping up, but in such a contemporary way. It's beautiful what you're doing. So could you please tell me a little bit about how did this happen? How did you find yourself doing this?
Well, the thing is, since my youth or childhood, I was always very much into textures and colors. The thing behind that is my mother always dragged me, that was the word for me then, to carpet stores and antique shops. So I was quite annoying around with her, but I think it had a very big visual effect or a visual archive for me. And with my first salary at the age of 20, I went and bought a kilim. So I was a big fan of kilims, and I was collecting them or buying them, and I was never ever producing them. But in 2014, I was in New York in a cocktail and D&D building, and I met some very famous carpet producers in New York, and they told me that they were producing the carpets in China. Our most famous Uşak carpets were produced in China, and I found that quite insulting in a way. And I said, I will go back to Turkey. I will research the weaving villages, and I will invite you to Turkey. I went to different villages and found wonderful producers, weavers. I called them, I invited them, and they were really, really taken back by the weaving quality, the wool quality, and the craftsmanship. And we started to do business with them. But after a year, the carpet production takes very long. So we decided to go buy our old looms and then to produce with looms flat weaves, which are less time consuming to produce. And that's how I started, you know, to...
Where were you in New York?
New York, in the design and decoration D&D building, and I was invited to a cocktail, just a random coincidence, and I took as a very as a pride issue, and then went on.
Correct, because Uşak carpets should be produced in Uşak, right?
Yes, definitely.
And I totally understand. Even like if you go to just to maybe detour from our subject, but even if you go to Kapalı Çarşı at times, sometimes you see this. I mean, sometimes you see these beautiful Turkish crafts and objects produced elsewhere, and so it's such an important issue to support local talent. But at the moment, you said you're actually viewing your own production capacity, right?
Yes, true.
So after Uşak halız, carpets, what else came to your way? What other parts of Turkish culture or Turkey that you started putting into your work? How it's all linked?
Well, the thing, looming and weaving is all around Anatolia. It's everywhere in our country. Every house, every little village house, you have looms, and women were all knowledgeable about looming, blankets and curtains out of a necessity. But now it's very dispersed, so you have to buy the wool from somewhere else. You have to do the finishing of the carpet in another part of Anatolia, and we do the finishing in Istanbul. So trying to find all these craftsmanship, I started to travel through Anatolia, and every little village or every little region, regions are not little of course, has their own techniques and way of weaving and a way of using the materials, which enriched my knowledge a lot. For example, colder regions use goat hair, and there's a different weaving with stripes. Warmer regions have cotton as they're produced, so they weave in cotton. They use them as tarp. But the thing is, women, when they're weaving for necessities, they start to put their own names, flowers they like, the sign for their sons, all these little nomadic totems and symbols. And I think that's a very inspiring and exciting part of my creation process also.
It's like asking you to choose between your children, but what are your favorite patterns?
Stripes, always been stripes. I'm crazy for stripes.
That's nice.
And I like the very primitively woven, very individual symbols on the carpets. Sometimes they can be so funny, so humorous, so romantic. It's a different kind of archive I have to work on.
Me too. I'm a definitely a stripe person. I look at around my house, I see stripes everywhere. I said, did I go overboard with these stripes? So definitely I love it too. So looking at your work, that kind of struck me most too. And well, when we speak of your inspirations, of course you mentioned that you travel all around Anatolia, get inspiration, but where else do you find your inspiration?
I think inspiration is a state of mind. When you're in the present moment, I think you can find inspiration anywhere. Even a traffic sign or a stripe on the road inspires me. But mostly I would say travels, books, nature, movies, fashion. I'm very much influenced and inspired by fashion, I have to say. Everything. Yeah, a snail, the body of the shell of a snail. Sorry, the lines, the stripes. I think nature is the source of every inspiration, every form.
I mean, we all go back
and
to
then
nature,
it goes.
Keeps popping up in our work, and distance ourselves from it as we have in the past centuries. I think we come back to it, and that definitely. Nature is kind of a guiding point.
Yes.
Another question I wanted to ask is, how do you work related to art? Because basically your work is more related to craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's about craftsmanship, but I find more and more art needs to kind of these different forms. And I mean, I see actually some carpet designers work in the museums. Christopher Farrs, I'm sure.
Yes,
beautiful. And so I mean, I kind of feel happy and honored to see these kind of works in museums too. How do you place yourself or how do this functional art or objects occupy space in the art world?
Well, the thing is, when you work with crafters and handcraft, the thing is, it's very difficult to repeat the same. So it becomes unique in itself. So nowadays, also craftsmanship is not respected or regarded at a high level. So people don't pay attention, and the new generation don't respect it as much as the older generation. So I considered every other little piece that I find or produce as art pieces or as new collectibles. They're valuable in the future. Because I have some weavers, there are 8, one is 75, the other one is 80, and it was their craft. They couldn't teach their daughters. The daughters are not interested, so it's with them it's going to end, for example. So there are art pieces in itself.
For sure, for sure. But I hope your work will make
Yes.
their craftsmanship continue. Do you have any, actually, do you educate others in this because I think, as you said, these original craftsmanships, we see them dying and we see them not designed. It's such a big loss for Turkey, it's big loss for the whole humanity's culture and everything. Do you actually play any role in training or adding this artisanship?
Well, the thing is, I'm not equipped in training. Unfortunately, I don't know how to weave, and I don't know if I will ever have the patience to learn that. But when you bring them businesses and projects, their belief in what they do increases. So I think by promoting their work, appreciating their work, automatically leads the younger generation into this field, especially with Instagram and social media. Everybody can show what they produce. It becomes valuable instantly. They can show and they can take likes. I think that's important, how you say, driving force for the next generation to production and weaving.
How are you coping with this pandemic situation? Do you feel like it's increasing your creativity and your energy to work, or are you just taking it very easy nowadays?
Well, of course, when we had down to 3-4 months, it was very calm. I just wanted everyone's well-being around in my workshops and ateliers and weavers. But towards the end, I didn't realize I was kind of hyper during the pandemic, to be honest, in the beginning. But then, as you said, the ideas or the things that inspired me started to settle in my head, and I think I started to digest all the things that I was seeing in such a rush. So after June, everything really resumed. Say that my creativity had increased. I have seen with the works that came out after the COVID-19. But then production-wise, we're quite at difficulties because not all the workshops are open fully. Ateliers, the natural dye ateliers are not working a full team. So it's very slow and it's very stressful at the moment.
I can imagine. I wish you patience with all the production bottlenecks.
Thank
put
you.
It that way. They are truly.
Yes, it's bottlenecks. Some people are very eager and happy to produce. Some people are back at their villages and they don't want to come to work. So we're trying to find a balance between both.
Yes, I think for me, one of the really love the peace of mind that pandemic actually in a way gave us in a parallel universe. It's almost a parallel universe, But one thing I really miss is still the freedom to travel. Well, at the moment I'm in Bozcaada, but that's not kind of a travel. I've been in the same place for 3 weeks, so it's not. You love taking big, journeys and road trips and going to, staying one night and one night. Exactly. Or just hopping on a plane, just finding yourself across the Atlantic or Pacific, whatever. It's just like we had this way luxury to be able to be, and that's one thing I'm actually missing most. So I'm actually adding my bucket list, updating my bucket list while I'm staying put. So I'm curious about your bucket list. Do you have any, once hopefully we all go back to where we were before, or maybe to a different chapter, but still
Well,
able to travel? Where do you want to go most?
oh, it's so difficult. I think I have a big list, but I think I would go to places that I have not been before, because we have, you know, all of us, we have certain cities that we have our friends and connections, and we tend to go to those. Get those out of the list and would go to very remote places. And in remote places, usually these nomadic weavings still exist, and I would like to explore them.
Yeah.
From Peru to Chile, I think that would be my destination.
I was
Just top of
actually,
my head.
yes, the last trip, that last big trip I took was in Bali and Indonesia. So I actually did be, I've been to some villages and sat with the women who weave, and they have beautiful
Incredible.
patterns. They have incredible patterns, but unfortunately they're also going through, how to say, distinctional. They just left.
Even there.
Even there, there are not that many villages where you can find actually women sitting and weaving, and so it's kind of it needs to, because tourism, you know, tourism has taken over, and yeah. So there are a few really amazing villages left, but that was really a great experience for me to sit down with the women who actually are great at what they're doing, and they're so patient, as you say, because it would drive us crazy to do that all day. And maybe, let's say, 10 knots, and I'm like, okay, what's next? You know, these women, I appreciate them so much for what they produce. In the same situation with your work, because it takes a lot of patience. So where do you want to take this business? What would be your, let's say, dream? I'll ask you this: whose house would you decorate your beautiful rugs and kilims with?
I think the houses that I like are already decorated with beautiful kilims, I would say. So I don't.
It could be even a writer that inspires you, like anybody that you don't have to reach them. They could.
Well, the thing is, I'm a big horseback rider. You know, I'm a big fan of horseback riding, and I think, I don't know whose house, but what I would do with rugs and kilims and cushions, I would want to do a wonderful stable and a house connected to it, and the surrounding, you know, outdoor, indoor, and everything would be based on weaving from the region, outside of the region. That would be my dream, I think.
Where would
but
that
also, of course, speaking from Turkey, I should pick a location from Turkey. I think North Aegean. I would say North Aegean, olive fields, maybe.
I love the North
like
Aegean,
that.
as you
and
see.
Something by,
you know.
yes.
I just find it. In a way, still not that much touched and quite wild, and it's just beautiful, I think. Sounds here.
Yes.
Why not? Why not to do this project here?
Yes, with pleasure, because I also have a big affection for navy blue, so I would house by the sand, probably, with all the navy and red stripes. So that would be my second house to do.
Any business goals? It's a beautiful passion project, but any business-wise, do you have? Do you want any target markets that you want to reach out to?
Well,
or?
I am doing exporting already. Anyway, I started with exporting to other countries and to the international market. I think I would be very appreciative if it is much more known and appreciated in our own land. The thing is, you learn while you're weaving and producing and creating. So the targets come with that, because this is a very human-based business with their moods, ups and downs. So I think every project takes you to another step, and then you go to that step, and then you decide, you look to the surrounding. I am more of an impulsive creator, I think. So targets, I don't have set targets.
They say life is what happens to you while you're making plans.
Yes, and with COVID, I think targets has become quite relevant as well.
I agree. I mean, you have to leave some space for surprises and where the life could take you. If you put everywhere, then there's no space and there's no flexibility to make these advances or changes. So I like the way you're thinking. But thank you, Elif, for this beautiful mini talk. I think we're running out of time. It was such lovely talking to you.
Same for here.
And I wish you all the best with Ethnicloom. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Seda. Bye-bye. Take care. Enjoy your holiday. Bye. Take care.